I would first like to start by saying that I am not trying to convince anyone to dump Windows or Mac and move over to Linux. This is just my recollection of my previous experience and a comparison of how Linux has made my daily computing a better experience. Here's what I believe. Your computing experience should be an enjoyable one. You should use what you like and like what you use. This does not mean that you can't enjoy Mac or Windows. I'm just telling you why I don't. But if Mac OS or Windows has created a pain point in your computing life and you are looking for an alternative, Linux is a great choice. It is not Windows, and it is not Mac, and it will not behave like either. There is a required learning period to anything new that you wish to do in life. It does not just apply to operating systems and software. So don't expect anything different. Number one thing I like about it, it is stable and reliable. I've had very few issues with any of the many distros that I have installed over the last few years. Once I have it installed and configured the way I want, I know it will be the same after updates or reboots. There is no mega corporation changing my settings or after updating my system. Number two, I prefer the package management in Linux compared to the way you install software in Windows or Mac. I can search my distributions repositories and pretty much know that the software that I'm installing is the real deal and not some shady .exe file that can have God knows what embedded in it. I understand that Mac has an app store, but as soon as you want to install something that isn't in there, you're right back to installing some possibly random file from the internet. I can hook up a PPA in Ubuntu or peruse the AUR and install a trusted .deb package or an app image or Flatpak or Snap package. They may have their flaws, but I personally feel safer installing software from a more trusted source. Another thing I like about the package managers in Linux is the fact that I can install several pieces of software at one time without the need to reboot. I prefer the terminal package managers myself, but there are graphical package managers that come with most every Linux distro out there. Just go through the list of software in the repository, clicking on the ones you want to install, and press apply. This is the GUI package manager in Manjaro called PAMAC. You can do exactly what I just talked about. There's search functionality here. You can drill down through categories, groups, different repositories, check your installed packages, updates, everything. It is a fantastic piece of software, and I do enjoy it, but I do prefer the terminal-based package managers a little more myself. And also, if you become a chronic distro hopper, such as I used to be, and I'm starting to get the itch again, the process of installing all your programs can be automated with a simple shell script. It's kind of a beautiful thing. Number three is my operating system does not spy on me. When I ran Windows 8, 8.1, and Windows 10 specifically, I disabled all the spying quote-unquote features I possibly could. I looked up how-tos and turning off telemetry data collection and locked it down as best I could. Avoid getting malware on my computers that I would even use a virtual machine to open emails that I didn't explicitly trust, just to alleviate that possibility of malware or viruses infecting my PC. Which actually leads me to number 4, viruses and malware. I don't really worry about viruses or malware nearly as much as I did when I was running Windows. Not necessarily because of the whole security through obscurity thing. It's just more secure than Windows by design. Viruses can't really do much to my machine without the root password. And if a program pops up asking for my root password and I didn't invoke it, I can open a terminal, kill the process, and find the file, delete it. Number 5. It is customizable. Linux is a very modular system, meaning that you could take out bits that you don't like and add in a replacement that you do. This can apply to themes, software, desktop environments, even the kernel itself. It can be changed. I'm running Manjaro Linux right now. It's based on Arch. It has the i3 window manager installed. This is actually Manjaro with the i3 desktop environment, but I actually installed XFCE as well. I was just in the XFCE desktop environment when I took Notion to record this video, so there's XFCE. I've done some light theming and stuff like that, but not really much to it. I mean, I'm still using just the dark theme, their Maya theme. It's attractive. I like it. So I haven't customized it that much, but I do have the option. So number 6, it's compatible. Almost every popular open source free software program you download for daily computing can be set to save files that can be read by other operating systems. For example, LibreOffice. It can save files in .doc or .docx formats, making them compatible with Windows or Mac OS machines. This also applies to LibreImpress, Calc, and Base. Here, I'm going to give you an example. Number 7. This may not be very useful for everyone, but I really enjoy it, seeing how I do like to customize my system. But number 7, everything is a file. This one sounds kind of self-explanatory, but it is a wonderful feature of Linux that I particularly enjoy. If I want to tweak something about my system, especially in i3, the entire configuration is a file. I can edit the file, make a desired change, restart i3, and there it is. I mean, your mouse is a file. Your graphics driver is a file. I mean, literally everything is a file. Number 8, the community. Linux is a vast, ever-expanding community, and with releases of more user-friendly distributions, forums, and wikis, it's easier than ever to get started using Linux. I ran across a small problem a few months back when I had a hardware failure, more specifically a power supply on my NAS at home. I moved the drives to my desktop PC, searched the forums and wikis, and was able to find a way to install ZFS, enable the kernel modules, and within about a half hour, I was searching through my ZFS pool, relocated to my desktop, thanks to the community. Most problems that a new user will face have already been answered, so search for the solution before asking on the forums. Number 9, it breathes new life into old computers. If you have an old machine at home that's just been sitting around collecting dust because you've upgraded to something newer, you can get a modern operating system with support and updates well past the Windows support cycle. It probably won't win any drag races, but it will definitely be usable for email, media consumption, web browsing, social media, document creation, file serving, or maybe even some light photo editing. Don't throw it away. Put it to work doing something useful in your home. Linux also runs great on new computers as well. I have a very powerful desktop that I built at home, and it runs the Linux beautifully. That's actually what I'm using today. I actually went over all of the specs of that in the little screencast I did a couple weeks ago. Number 10, Linux is very easy to use. It's very user-friendly, assuming that you choose a user-friendly distro and desktop environment. My desktop at home, actually this one right here, runs Manjaro Linux with the XFCE desktop. It is customized to look the way I want to make it easy to use. I let my wife use it. She is not technically inclined at all. She uses Windows on her laptop and Mac at work. She had no trouble getting into the program she needed to run, getting some work done, and going about her day. Honestly, if I had not have told her that it was Linux, she would not have even cared. Actually, she still didn't care when I did tell her it was Linux. So there you go. All right, number 11, updates. Updating a Linux system is not like updating Windows or Mac. I could update literally everything on the system, including the base system, software, security updates, even games, with one simple terminal command. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Sudo pacman -SYU. Hit enter, and off to the races. It checks all of the repositories: core, extra, community, multi-lib, and it found one, the Manjaro system. So we're going to let that go. Yes. I have faith that it's not going to break anything, so it's probably got like 160 packages or something to update, so we're going to let it go. Number 12, probably my favorite thing, is the terminal. My Linux experience has been enriched by the terminal. When I first started playing around with Linux in a virtual machine and on an old laptop, I avoided the terminal like it was the plague. It kind of scared me, thinking that I could possibly type the wrong command and mess up my system. But with a little research and practice, all of those fears were put to rest. Don't get me wrong, I still do double and triple check myself when I run, say, the DD command, and make sure I'm not on my main system or storage drive when I go to format a USB or to create a bootable ISO. Now, the terminal is the single most powerful tool that a Linux user has at their disposal. Long, tedious tasks in a file manager can be handled with just a few keystrokes in the terminal. It's a great way of keeping an eye on available storage space, your running processes, or even creating simple text files. For another example, here's htop. It shows you all 12 cores of my system. It shows you how the available RAM. I'm encoding HD video right now. I mean, it's not doing much besides that, besides having my distro watch page up on Manjaro, running an update. That's really about it. It works, and it works really well. For example, I wrote this entire thing for the video in the terminal using Vim. Here, I'll even show that to you. I wrote this whole thing out using Vim. It's not, it's nothing special, but it worked well. It worked well for my case. I like the dark themes. It was easy to do. So there you go. So to sum up, these are a few reasons why I use Linux in my daily computing. Once I realized that I didn't have to use Windows or Mac to do the things I needed to do, after a little research and practice, I've been using Linux comfortably for a few years, and I don't plan on returning to either of the proprietary operating systems. And P.S., the fact that it's offered for free of charge, that's just a bonus. So I hope you enjoyed the screencast. Y'all have a nice evening.